Okay, Kevin, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the 62nd meeting of the Civil Rights Council. The meeting is called to order. Ali Sadler, Senior Counsel, will conduct the roll call.
Director Kish,
Present.
Councilmember Cameron Banks,
Present.
Councilmember Chan,
Present.
Councilmember Glader,
Present.
Councilmember Hahn.
Present.
Great. Okay, welcome. The first agenda item is our welcome, and today I am very pleased to welcome a new executive who will be taking over the meeting from me shortly, Julia Parrish. Julia is our new Deputy Director of Legislation, Regulation, and Policy, appointed by the governor in August. She leads our teams working on legislation. The teams that you see today, supporting the Civil Rights Council and the department's regulatory work, and our research and policy functions. Julia is a civil rights attorney who joins us from her most recent position at Legal Aid at Work, where she worked with families, people with disabilities, survivors of violence, and where she launched the Healthy Families Workplace Coalition. We're delighted to welcome Julia to our department and to this work supporting the council. Julia, I will turn it over to you.
Thank you so much, Director Kish. And I would like to thank all of the stakeholders today who are attending the Civil Rights meeting. This meeting is being webcast live via Zoom video conference, and the video of this meeting will also be available afterwards on the Civil Rights Council's website at https://civilrights.ca.gov/Civil Rights Council/ and also the Civil Rights Department's YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We also have closed captioning available for participants, which you can find at the bottom of the Zoom bar features. If you're having difficulty accessing closed caption, you can send an email to the administrator to resolve the issue at council@calcivilrights.ca.gov. Members of the public joining remotely may have noticed that you are currently muted and your video is disabled at this time. Please note that the question and answer and chat functions are also disabled. However, please be advised that there will be opportunities for public comment and participation throughout today's meeting. At the end of each agenda item, we will ask if there is any public comment. In the interest of time, we will limit comments to 3 minutes each. We also ask that comments address a specific agenda item. If your comment does not address a specific agenda item, we request that you share your comments at the end of the meeting. We have a number of ways for you to provide input and comments. First, you can email the council at council@calcivilrights.ca.gov. We will be checking this email account throughout the meeting, and your comments will be read aloud or summarized and considered by the council members. Second, if you would like to speak directly rather than through an email, please click raise hand in Zoom or press *9 if you have called in. If you would like to rename yourself in the Zoom list of participants, you can find yourself on the list and click rename and the list of options next to your name. We would also like to acknowledge the Civil Rights Department staff members joining us today: Rachel Langston, Assistant Chief Counsel of Legislative and Regulatory Affairs, and Sue Lee and Ali Sadler, Senior Counsels. As well, we would like to thank everyone who is attending this meeting, and we look forward to your participation throughout today's meeting. I'm going to move on to reviewing the agenda. The agenda and the materials for this meeting can be accessed at the council's website at www.calcivilrights.ca.gov/Civil Rights Council/. The agenda includes approval of the minutes of the last meeting on June 6th, 2025, council member reports and council acknowledgements, a report from the Civil Rights Department, consideration of the final unmodified text of proposed modification to contractor non-discrimination and compliance regulations, consideration of proposed modification to regulations regarding pay data reporting program, and subcommittee updates and discussion of subcommittee assignments. Going to move on to the approval of the minutes from last meeting. The first order of business is the approval of the minutes from our June 6, 2025 meeting, which can be found in attachment A. Do we have any council member comments or edits regarding the minutes from the last meeting? Seeing none from the council members, I'll ask if we have any public comments regarding the last minutes. Do we have any comments in person?
No.
Do we have any remote public comments?
None over Zoom. And I don't see any in email either. So no further comments.
Okay, can we please have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Thank you. Can we get a second? Second. Thank you very much. Please call roll.
Okay, Councilmember Cameron Banks,
Yes.
Councilmember Chan,
Yes.
Councilmember Glader,
Yes.
Councilmember Han.
Yes.
Thank you. The minutes are approved. The next order of business is council member reports and council acknowledgements. Do we have any reports from the council members? Okay, seeing none, I'm gonna hand it back to Director Kish to start us off for council acknowledgement.
I just wanted to take a moment here. We have a special guest, Judge David Garcia, to acknowledge and thank you for your service on this body, including as chair. David Garcia was appointed by the governor in 2023 to the Civil Rights Council after a very distinguished legal career that spanned roles in the LA District Attorney's Office, the US Attorney's Office in the Central District of California, Edison International and Southern California Edison, and then more recently at the Inner City Law Center, where in semi-retirement, he took on a role as a staff attorney working on eviction cases, and then was just this summer appointed by the governor to the Superior Court in the County of Los Angeles. David, Judge Garcia, thank you so much for chairing and leading this body, your work on a number of packages. You are, I believe, the fourth council member to be appointed to the bench in recent years. So if any members of the public want to do that, maybe consider applying for this body. You were a wonderful colleague to work with. We wish you the very, very best as you embark on this next phase of your distinguished legal career as a jurist. And if you would like to say anything, the floor is yours.
I were just a couple of minutes. I know how busy you all are. It was a real honor to serve on this body. It was incredibly important work. And I just can't help to think about how important, even more important it is today. All the work all of you are doing. It gives me a lot of hope just seeing the people on this body, the intelligence, the thoughtfulness, the dedication of your public service. It's very inspiring to me. And I just wish all of you the best. And I know you're going to do great work for the people of the state of California. And thank you for allowing me to be part of this. It was a real honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Julia, back to you.
Thank you, Judge Garcia. Do we have any council member comments regarding the council member reports and acknowledgements? I'll ask next if we have any public comments regarding the council member reports and acknowledgements. Do we have any comments in person?
None in person.
Do we have any remote public comments?
No, we don't have any remote public comments.
Thank you. The next order of business is the Civil Rights Department report. I will turn it over to Assistant Chief Counsel Langston for the report.
Thanks, Julia. So a few things I wanted to provide an update about today. Please be aware of an upcoming event, United Against Hate Week, which is October 9th through October 25th. The Civil Rights Department CA versus Hate program has partnered with several other community organizations and government entities to create a lot of several events throughout that time that are helpful in learning about protections against hate and other activities. It's a great time to come together and work on these issues. If you go to the website, which I will provide here in just a moment, there is an events calendar, and it does provide details about all the events. Some are online, which is great. For instance, we have on the 22nd a presentation on the Ralph Civil Rights Act, and which is enforced by the department, and so that should be interesting and informative. So that website, if you'd like to learn more, is www.unitedagainsthateweek.org. So I encourage everyone to check that out. Another update from our legal team, they had a very significant victory in September. The Civil Rights Department had brought a case, I believe, in 2021 against what is purportedly the largest grower, producer, and shipper of carrots in the world, Grimway Farms. The lawsuit alleged that Grimway was engaging in systemic disability discrimination by automatically placing disabled workers on unpaid leave when other reasonable accommodations were available. The department got a decision that found that there was discrimination and allows the department to move forward to seeking damages from that entity, Grimway. So that was very exciting, and we hope it'll assist a lot of folks that work there. Finally, from our regulatory division, I wanted to note that as many of you are aware, for the last couple of years, we've been working on regulations that would apply the FEHA employment provisions to automated decision systems. So systems relying on AI that are used by employers to help make decisions. Those were accepted by OAL, and they have gone into effect now as of October 1st. They are effective. And so keep an eye out. Please subscribe to our update lists for our outreach and education department to find out about any future trainings that may be available or coming up, or guidance that might answer questions that some of you have on these regulations. But we're excited to get started implementing and enforcing those. And now I will turn it to Allie for an update on another package that we've been working on.
Yes, thank you. I'll provide an update on the repeal of the council's conflict of interest code. So at the last council meeting on June 6th, 2025, the council voted to repeal the Civil Rights Council's separate conflict of interest code in section 11005 of Title II of the California Code of Regulations. This change was made because the Civil Rights Council is part of the Civil Rights Department's conflict of interest code, and it is therefore duplicative for the council to maintain a separate conflict of interest code. After that June 6th meeting, the department submitted the repeal of the council's conflict of interest code to the Office of Administrative Law and has been accepted. The repeal is not yet in effect, though. That is the update.
Thank you so much. Do we have any council member comments regarding the Civil Rights Department report? I'll ask if we have any public comment regarding the department's report. Do we have any public comments in person regarding the department's report?
Not in person.
Do we have any remote public comments?
No, there's no comments over Zoom or over email.
Thank you. We will move along to agenda item 7. And we will hear from Senior Counsel Lee regarding the final unmodified text of proposed modifications to the contractor non-discrimination and compliance regulation.
The subcommittee has not proposed any further changes to the contractor non-discrimination and compliance regulations. We are seeking a motion for the council to approve the final unmodified text so that we may move forward with formal filing with the Office of Administrative Law. We are also seeking authority for the department to make any non-substantive changes that are necessary.
Thank you. Do we have any council member comments regarding the final unmodified text of proposed modification to the contractor non-discrimination and compliance regulations? So many words. No comments? Okay, seeing none from the council, do we have any public comments in person?
None in person.
Thank you. Do we have any remote public comments?
No comments over Zoom and no comments over email.
Thank you. We've had a request for a motion to approve the final unmodified text of proposed modification to contractor non-discrimination and compliance regulations. Authorize the Civil Rights Department to file the regulatory package with the Office of Administrative Law and to authorize the Civil Rights Department staff to make any non-substantive changes if required by the Office of Administrative Law. Can we have a motion, please?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cameron Banks.
Yes.
Councilmember Chan.
Yes.
Councilmember Glader.
Yes.
Councilmember Hong.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. We'll move now to agenda item 8. Consideration of initial text of proposed regulations regarding data reporting program. The next item on the agenda is regarding the pay data reporting program. And I wanted to suggest that we postpone this item to a later meeting as the initial text is still being finalized. We hope to have it available soon, but it was not available as of today. So Senior Counsel Ali Sadler will discuss the status of this regulatory project during the next item, subcommittee updates and discussion of subcommittee assignments. Do we have any council member comments regarding the postponement? Do we have any public comments in person regarding the postponement of consideration of the proposed regulations regarding pay data reporting?
None in person.
Do we have any remote public comments?
No comments over Zoom. And no comments over email.
Thank you. We've had a request to postpone the consideration of proposed regulations regarding pay data program. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Cameron Banks.
Yes.
Councilmember Chan.
Yes.
Councilmember Glader.
Yes.
Councilmember Hong.
Yes.
Motion passes. We will postpone discussion of those regulations to a later meeting. The next agenda items, agenda item 9, subcommittee updates. To start, Ali Sadler will explain more about implementing regulations for the pay data program and the need for a subcommittee to promulgate these regulations. Ali?
Yes, thank you, Deputy Director Parrish. I'll provide background and explain the department's recommendation to the council involving the proposed regulations regarding the pay data reporting programs. The Civil Rights Department has started drafting proposed regulations to implement, interpret, and clarify the pay data reporting program. These regulations are not ready today for the council's review, consideration, and approval, however. But the department recommends that the council form a subcommittee to work on the regulations with department staff. As background, the Civil Rights Department administers the pay data reporting program pursuant to Government Code Section 12999. The pay data reporting program was established in 2020 and was modeled on the federal EEO-1 report, which in 2017 and 2018 required employers to report employee pay and hours worked by employee groupings. The purpose of the pay data reporting program is to promote voluntary compliance with equal pay and anti-discrimination laws and support CRD's efforts to identify, investigate, and address pay inequities and discriminatory workplace practices. The pay data reporting program requires large private employers to annually report their number of employees and workers supplied by labor contractors by race, ethnicity, and sex in job categories specified in the statute. The pay data reporting program also requires private employers to report the number of employees and workers by race, ethnicity, and sex in pay bands previously used by the United States Bureau of Labor Statistics in the Occupational Employment Statistics Survey. CRD has analyzed and published aggregated pay data reported in 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. The employer's pay data reports allow CRD to more efficiently identify wage patterns and more effectively enforce equal pay and anti-discrimination laws. In the department's experience administering the program, regulations are necessary to clarify, interpret, and make specific the pay data reporting program requirements. Once again, the department recommends that the council vote to form a subcommittee to work on the proposed regulations with department staff. Back to you.
Should we vote on that now before we move on to other items? Okay, do have a motion to form a subcommittee on pay data reporting regulations.
So moved.
Thank you very much. And a second?
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Can you call a roll, please?
Yes. Councilmember Cameron Banks.
Yes.
Councilmember Chan.
Yes.
Councilmember Glader.
Yes.
Councilmember Han.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. We will form a subcommittee. We'll follow up with you.
I actually think we should take public comment
Oh, thank you.
on that. And then I think probably vote again. That's what I would recommend.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe also discuss while we're on this, who would be willing to serve on that committee. And so we can vote for that too.
Okay, so first we'll do public comment. Do we have any council member comments? Do we have any public comment in the room?
No.
Do we have any remote public comments?
No comments over Zoom and no comments by email.
Okay, and so next, I think we should discuss whether any council members would like to serve on the subcommittee, and then we will vote again.
Can I make a suggestion? So the next part of, we're in the same agenda item of subcommittee updates, but we did want to discuss the existing subcommittees and the makeup of the existing subcommittees, since Chair Garcia is no longer a member of the council. And I think having that conversation jointly will help folks figure out if they are willing to serve on the contractor non-discrimination subcommittee. If we go through the existing ones, their membership, and whether the council wants to maintain, disband, or put on pause any of the existing ones.
Okay, thank you for that. So we'll take a vote now that we have had the opportunity for public comment on just the formation of the committee.
I think that works well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we can talk about staffing and all of the other committees as a separate vote.
And then have a single motion for however we decide to frame, any remaining subcommittees that need to be restaffed.
Yeah, we could just move into the discussion now and then have a single motion and vote to form, disband, put on
Yes.
pause subcommittees and the makeup of those subcommittees.
So I'm happy to start with that, and then repeat any changes, additions, kind of summarize those at the end so we can have kind of an omnibus motion if that works for you, Deputy Director Parrish.
So much.
We at the last meeting talked some about subcommittees and landed on a few, but I wanted to provide an update as Judge Garcia is no longer with us in the committee, and so some of the committees have vacancies or would only be carried by one council member, and so wanted to go ahead and talk about that, and also give subcommittee members an opportunity to make any statements or updates that they would like to make regarding the work of their subcommittee. So first we have a subcommittee on 1113 Government Code Section 11135 guidance, and that is staffed by council members Slater and Hong. I will turn it to them if they have any particular updates they'd like to discuss, or any thoughts or concerns about their assignments, or please go ahead and let us know.
So as I indicated previously, Rachel, we're just behind schedule in developing the document that we had discussed at the last meeting. My hope is to have that ready in the next couple of weeks with Councilmember Hong's help, and we will be able to move forward in producing the guidance that you had asked us for.
Thank you, Councilmember Glader. The next subcommittee is sort of also a newly developed subcommittee on protected employment leaves and reasonable accommodations. This subcommittee is staffed by council members Chan and Cameron Banks. There are some draft regulations that our team, our staff is currently reviewing and then planning to set up a meeting with council members Chan and Cameron Banks to further discuss those regulations and any changes or additions that need to be made before we move forward with those in the formal rulemaking process. Council members Chan and Cameron Banks, do you have anything to add regarding that subcommittee?
Just that I think we looked at the initial draft. I'm already, I think sometime in the spring, maybe. So, and this was before you had joined. But yeah, we haven't, I don't think we've seen another draft since.
Yeah, I recall, I think that was like a partial draft, and this will be more fully fledged. So I look forward to going over that with the council members and the subcommittee. Next, we have a public civil rights hearing subcommittee staffed by council members Hong and Chan, who basically this committee is to make decisions about informational hearings that should be hosted by the council, and to the extent there are they find a necessity for a hearing to kind of coordinate and organize those hearings. I don't think we have any currently in development, but these council members Hong and Chan, if you have any updates on this committee, please let me know.
None at this time. I think understanding kind of the bandwidth of staff and the vacancies on the council, it hasn't been identified as a priority as of yet. I think there are other pressing issues that we need to address first. And so that has not been something that we wanted to tap resources for at this time.
Thank you, Councilmember Ong. Moving on, so there is still currently a algorithms and bias subcommittee that was created for the purpose of promulgating regulations regarding FEHA's Fair Employment and Housing Act's application to automated decision systems used in the employment context. As I mentioned in our update earlier, those regulations are now in effect as of October 1st. And so one of the proposals at the end of this item will be to disband that particular subcommittee. Any comments from subcommittee members Hong and Glader?
No.
Next, we have the Contractor Non-Discrimination and Compliance Committee. Senior Counsel Lee discussed those, and we've been discussing those for a couple of meetings, and this is currently staffed by Councilmember Hong. So I think that's in progress, but any comments or updates from you, Councilmember Hong?
No, I mean, I think it's primarily done in terms of the language. It's going to OAL primarily. Work has been done by the other departments, and so I don't think there needs to be anybody else added to that subcommittee. And so I think I'm fine moving forward since it's primarily administrative.
Thank you, Councilmember. Next is the new automated decision-making systems and housing subcommittee, which would interpret how FEHA's housing provisions apply to the use of automated decision systems. Currently, that is staffed by Councilmember Glader. Previously, it was co-staffed by Councilmember at that time, Judge Garcia. And so I wanted to check in with Councilmember Glader, assess his capacity as far as moving forward and keeping this particular subcommittee active at this time.
I would welcome some input from you on the relative urgency of this versus the new subcommittee we're going to be discussing in a few minutes.
Okay. Why don't we put a pin in that, and I'll go back to it after we've discussed the remaining two subcommittees. So there's also a subcommittee to consider federal policy changes. That is staffed by council members Cameron Banks and Chan. And I don't believe there's an ongoing project yet in that subcommittee, but I would invite subcommittee members to provide any update if they have any, or any concerns, questions about assignment.
No update. I think we had started talking about this at our last meeting because we thought in light of the many significant federal changes, it was important for the council to have sort of a grasp on how those are affecting the state. I think what would be helpful moving forward is sort of getting a sense of scope, because there are so many different federal policy changes. Sort of where do we think, given limited bandwidth, would be the most bang for our buck? I think that would sort of be the next step.
Okay. Understood, and so that could likely happen at the next subcommittee meeting. And any other comments on that particular subcommittee? Okay. And then finally, the pay data reporting regulations. We had talked about what that committee is, and as far as staffing that committee, we think that this could be staffed by one member with the staff's assistants, but multiple or up to two members are of course welcome to volunteer to be on this subcommittee. Does anyone have interest regarding serving on a subcommittee for these regulations?
What does the department think the timing looks like?
So the department has done significant drafting, at least for the first round, and so it'd be a matter of the council reviewing, providing comment on, and approving this initial text, and then it would go forward into the formal rulemaking process. So that would mean helping with conducting the public hearing and responding to public comments, again, with the staff support. Anything I will ask Senior Counsel Sadler if there's anything else you'd like to add as far as the workings of that subcommittee.
Yeah, just to respond to your question, Councilmember Tan, I think this subcommittee, we would hope to have someone on it who has capacity in the next few weeks, because there is work that we're ready to do with a council member. And so think about if you have capacity in the next month to do that with us. And this is an area where the department has a lot of expertise from administering the program. And so we would be bringing that and working with you on it. I
I'd just
hope
like to
that-
offer a comment about this particular regulatory package to add to what's been said before. The pay data reporting program is one that the department has now administered for 4 years. But this is an area where the distinction between procedural and substantive rulemaking becomes relevant and important. Because the proposed regulations, which we have determined internally that we need in order to effectively implement the program, in our view, go beyond simply this is the process by which large employers submit their data, and implicate questions like, how do you count employees who are working remotely but who report to a company that is headquartered in California? So what I think is best described as substantive clarification of the underlying statute, which falls within, obviously, the rulemaking jurisdiction of this body. So we are the ones at the department who administer the program, who have identified the need for clarification. You are the ones who have substantive rulemaking authority. So this is a package where we have drafted an initial package where we would invite council. By the way, this is just also, as an aside, an interesting byproduct of the public nature of the council that we're even talking about it at all. I do think that it will be of significant interest to the regulated community, which is every California employer with 100 or more employees, private employer. So alert, this is coming. We will be working with the subcommittee member or members to finalize that text, to get it moved introduced into the formal rulemaking process, ideally at our next council meeting. And then I do anticipate that there will be significant public comment and feedback on this, because it's a matter that implicates a lot of stakeholders. However, our staff is ready to provide guidance on responding to that public feedback based on the department's experience of administering the program. So long-winded way of saying, this is what's up, this is what is coming. And I do think that given the vacancies that Councilmember Hong mentioned, we're going to have to do some prioritization. I'll stop there.
So, and Director Kish, you may have some thoughts or to weigh in on regarding this, but it sounds like the other sort of uncertain subcommittee that we wanted to go back to was automated decision-making systems and housing, currently staffed by Councilmember Glader. Obviously, I don't know if Councilmember Glader or someone else would volunteer to continue to work on the paid data reporting regulations as well. But I didn't know if the feeling might be to place a hold on the housing and ADS regulation subcommittee in order to prioritize pay data, and then maybe revisit that next year when pay data reporting regs have kind of wrapped up. So I'm not sure if there's a thought about that, or at this point kind of putting a hold, or if first, I guess I'd like to see if anybody wants to volunteer for the pay data reporting regulations.
So why don't we just, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Rachel.
No.
So I think the question is, who has bandwidth in the next month? So I think let's start backwards to see what that is before we talk about the subcommittees, because I feel like that's the most urgent thing in terms of the next step. And so why don't we start with that first?
Can I ask a bandwidth related question? I mean, I understand it sounds like in the next month, it sounds like judgment calls that need to be made, like that would be the ask. But it also sounds like once the rulemaking process actually begins, there's going to be a lot of comment
Yes.
on this. And so it would make sense probably if it's one person making judgment calls in the next month or so, that's one thing. But it sounds like having seen this now once the comments start rolling in, it'll be a very different and more time consuming project. And that's a few months out, I imagine. Am I thinking about this correctly?
Yeah, I think the timing on this package, like, the soonest that it could start formal rulemaking would be the next council meeting, which is not yet scheduled. When that is scheduled, public comment period will last for 45 days. After that point, there will be an additional time period of more work where department staff and the subcommittee will work together to review those comments and identify whether there are additional changes that need to be made. So there will be those periods. So I think like in the next month, there would be more work. And then in there would be a period of not having much work. And then in maybe 3 or 4 months, there would be an additional period of more work. I hope that's helpful.
That is helpful. I'm thinking about semesters.
Occupational hazard.
If I might add, I know that, Councilmember Hong, you had mentioned with regard to the public hearing subcommittee that, given the other demands upon the council and the rulemaking packages that we have kind of coming forward, that should be, deprioritized and, for the council members to consider whether it makes sense to either pause or disband that particular subcommittee, if it makes sense.
So I'm hearing 2 different things. One is that you would need some attention, but really it's about the continuity before this regulation is gonna get for public comment. So I think the initial request is like who has bandwidth the next month and who can commit to this probably for the next year.
Yeah.
And so Denny, I'm looking at you, but there's no pressure. Because
only
I
thing-
can't admit it, but like right for the next month, I can like free that up if I get off the 111.351 one. I think partly like one of the things that like I would like just because being a former employer, I think I have a different look in terms of how I look at those regulations, but that's also not the end all be all. And so I think those are just the things I would offer. I'm happy to kind of take that on in terms of like the first round, but not like overly commit, because I think the first round, seeing what happened with AI regs can be wiggle, especially knowing that there's going to be a lot of comment to that. And so that's all I will say.
My capacity for the next month is more limited, but afterwards looks much better.
And maybe I should be more specific. So I think what we would be hoping for is for someone to review a complete draft and meet with the subcommittee to discuss it and talk through any changes you identify. So there's no like research that's required. There's reviewing and kind of consulting and advising on this complete initial draft. Yeah.
So it doesn't look like either one of the committees I'm assigned to has anything
Super active.
pending in the next few months. So maybe it makes sense for this initial part, and then after the next hearing or the next meeting, maybe another member can join before we sort of start rolling into.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we would try to have some continuity.
I mean, I'll stay on it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe, maybe an additional,
Yeah, yeah,
that's what I'm saying, like, you had to have additional help after our next,
For public comment.
yeah, for public comment, because I have not gone through that, so.
So it sounds like Chen and it sounds like
It'll work.
it sounds like a beautiful subcommittee.
But maybe too, with that, in terms of just talking about what's being prioritized, not prioritized, it sounds like the federal policy changes committee is sort of far off from sort of being very active. right? Okay, all right.
I would suggest that the department probably has other priorities that
Yeah.
we
Okay,
need it on.
okay. Perfect.
So let me repeat what I think I heard and understand. So council members Cameron Banks and Chan would be willing to staff the pay data reporting regulations subcommittee. Is that accurate?
I think you were voluntold.
I'm more worried about my initial capacity. I'm
Yeah.
less worried about my longer term. But if it's a meeting to review
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
that's already written, I feel like I can.
It is very important that we can schedule meetings with all of you there
Mhm.
in the next few weeks, and several meetings may be necessary. And so I do want you to reflect on whether you think you'll have the capacity and ability to do that with us. Yeah. So is that a yes? or-
That's a yes.
Okay.
Okay, that is wonderful. And then, so I'm assuming that that means that the 11135 subcommittee will still be staffed by council members Glader and Hong. And I will say that it would be helpful to kind of focus on that guidance as well, because it's very much needed by stakeholders. And so yeah, so I think that's my understanding, is that there's no changes being made to the appointments to that subcommittee, the 11135. Okay. All right, I think, does anyone have anything else to add about their subcommittees or any of the discussion that we had today?
Well, it sounds like we're gonna disband the federal policy change subcommittee. Or do you not disband, you just want to hold on it?
I think holding is right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I just offer an observation about the difference between disbanding and holding? Disbanding a subcommittee would allow in the future the creation of a completely new membership of the subcommittee. Holding, I mean, the council can vote to hold, the council can also just not, the subcommittee can just not act, which is the functional equivalent of voting to hold. So either way, for a subcommittee that is relatively inactive, the decision to keep it rather than disband it is based on the idea, I think, in my view, that those particular subcommittees will, within some foreseeable future timeframe, want to pick up that particular baton. And so as opposed to just saying like, look, we're putting this to the side for the moment, we will reconvene in 6 months or a year, but we don't yet know who will be part of that reconvening as the subcommittee. So for something like the federal policy, I agree. I think that there are plenty of other things pending. I think that disbanding that one, especially if council members Cameron Banks and Chan are going to be on the new subcommittee, makes good sense. Similarly, with the automated decision-making systems in housing, we are not close as a staff. So unless Professor Glader, you have been up at night drafting regulations in your dreams, I think we could also frankly disband that and we could pick it up even in a few months' time, but depending on what's going on with your 11135 subcommittee or others, you may or may not want to be part of it. And then the other ones I would propose keeping, including the public hearing subcommittee with council members Hong and Chan, just because if we at the department or anybody else, any stakeholder has a great idea for a public hearing, it allows us to move pretty quickly with an existing subcommittee without having to wait for a public meeting to reconvene a subcommittee. Those are my recommendations, which you are free to take or leave. So maybe for the in the interest of clarity, we would keep the 11135 guidance subcommittee with council members Hong and Glader. We keep the leave subcommittee, although it is not currently reviewing a text with subcommittee, council members Chan and Cameron Banks. We keep the public hearing subcommittee with council members Hong and Chan. We disband the algorithms and employment subcommittee as having completed its work. Congratulations and thank you. Councilmember Hong will remain on the contractor non-discrimination language subcommittee, which is now entering the final phase of the rulemaking. Disband the algorithms and housing subcommittee, which is currently staffed only by Councilmember Glader. Disband the federal policy subcommittee staffed by Cameron Banks and Chan, and create the new pay data reporting subcommittee to be staffed by council members Cameron Banks and Chan.
So moved.
Do the council members have any further comments or wish to discuss anything further under this item? If not, I think we should move to public comment before we propose a motion.
This means it's my turn next. Okay.
Okay, seeing no further comment from the council, is there any public comment in the room?
No comment in person.
Thank you. Is there any remote public comment?
There are no comments over Zoom. And there are no comments on email.
Thank you. And we can go back to Councilmember Hong's motion. Do we have a second?
Well,
Oh,
sorry,
sorry.
just, I just wanted to restate the motion. Director Kish went over all the status, but just for purposes of continuity. So the request for a motion would be to create the pay data reporting regulations subcommittee and appoint, or not appoint, but and staff that committee with council members Cameron Banks and Chan. Disband the algorithm and bias subcommittee that worked on the regs that are now in effect. Disband the subcommittee to consider federal policy changes. And disband the automated decision system and housing subcommittee. That's what is covered by this motion. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember.
And a second?
Seconded.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll present roll call. Councilmember Cameron Banks.
Yes.
Councilmember Chan.
Yes.
Councilmember Glader.
Yes.
Councilmember Hong.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. I believe that brings us to our final agenda item for the day. Further public comment. We will now hear public comment on items not on the agenda. Please note that the council may not discuss or act on any matter raised during the public comment section that is not included on this agenda, except regarding whether the matter commented upon shall be placed on the agenda of a future meeting. Do we have any public comments in person?
No public comments in person.
Do we have any remote public comments?
None over Zoom. And no comments over email.
Are there any other comments from the council? Did we get all the agenda items?
That's something we can adjourn.
The last
Okay.
one is to adjourn.
Yeah, thank you so much. This concludes our meeting at 11:54 a.m. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So efficient. I really also want to thank the council again